Senator, I feel like the conventional wisdom about 6 months ago was that it was extremely unlikely Democrats would have a shot at winning back the Senate in this midterm election. I feel like that conventional wisdom has changed. And as a senator who has a very, very vested interest in whether you're serving the majority or minority, how do you feel about it?
Well, I will say I first ran for Congress during the 2018 midterms, and the energy now is even stronger than what I felt back then. And back then, I flipped a district that a incumbent Republican who won in 2016 by 20 points. I flipped that by 1 point. So I did a 21-point flip in 2 years. So I very much think a lot of these races are in play beyond just the three that you named at the top. I think, Ohio, I think Iowa, Texas, these are all races that, we have to make sure we're pushing hard on. And look, we have to explain why it is. It's not just about the math. We cannot allow Donald Trump to be able to appoint more Supreme Court justices. Like, that's what keeps me up at night. The idea that Alito and Clarence Thomas will be pushed out, which would mean that Donald Trump would have appointed 5 of the 9 Supreme Court justices. So, I mean, like, I have seen how they have been pushing through insane candidates for nominees for judges. And I don't want that. And I don't want that for our country. I don't want that for my kids. So I think that's what we can really hit home. What is at stake in terms of Senate control?
I want to ask you about what happened at the Delaney Detention Center in New Jersey yesterday. But one more question on the Senate here, which is, there was this kind of implosion that took place in the Senate, in the Republican Senate caucus, that led to everyone being sent home basically for a few weeks. The slush fund, the endorsement of Paxton. What's your understanding of why they just sort of abruptly canceled votes, and what faces them when you come back? Because my understanding is they're still going to have a vote, and there's real movement behind both houses to try to do something to block this $1.8 billion described slush fund for insurrectionists or anyone Donald Trump wants to give money to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Republicans know that they're just going to continue to have to own everything that Donald Trump does. And especially when it comes to this piece of legislation to start with, a lot of the Republicans were wary about it because it is all about a blank check to ICE, blank check with no reforms or accountability when it comes to immigration. $0 about health care, $0 about helping people afford their groceries or their gas for their car, at a time when so many people are struggling. This bill was already out of touch with the American people, and then adding this $1.8 billion slush fund for January 6 rioters and others, that is something that I think has made it all the more toxic because they know that is what they're going to have to own. And that'll help us hopefully be able to further get control over the Senate as the American people just see just how extreme this administration is and how much the Senate Republicans and the House Republicans are just appeasing Donald Trump.
You were at that detention facility in Newark yesterday, Delaney, where multiple, there were protesters, there were members of press, and there were a number of Democratic office holders, Anna Lilia Mejia, who we spoke to yesterday. That's footage of you having water poured in your eyes after pepper spray was fired. Can you just take us through what exactly happened?
I came out of the detention center and immediately saw that there was a very precarious and tense standoff, where you had a line of armed ICE ICE agents, an armored vehicle. You had a line of protesters there. And I was trying to do my best to de-escalate this. I put myself between the ICE agents and the protesters. At some point, ICE officials said they're just going to push this convoy of vehicles through the crowd. And I told them, you cannot just plow your way through a crowd of civilians. I tried to stop it, tried to find an arrangement, but they continued on. So I put myself again between the agents and the crowd. And that's when they started shooting pepper balls at our feet, as well as, right past me, seeing the pepper spray. I did my best to try to keep people safe, to try to de-escalate and keep the crowd and the agents separate. But myself and a number of others Certainly got irritation in our eyes. My throat was burning. It was something that was really painful to watch. I mean, Chris, I'll tell you, like, I have to say the ease with which it seems like violence is emerging in our streets in America, we cannot normalize this. Violence in America, it should not be easy. It should not be inevitable. And this is something that I'm worried is going to continue on in the coming days. I can't say for certain that we're past the worst of it. But this is directly related to that reconciliation bill. And I hope the American people see it next week when we're voting on in the Senate. We cannot give ICE billions of dollars more with no accountability when American families are getting nothing here and nothing to help them with their affordability crisis.
Senator Andy Kim in New Jersey, who was in that detention center yesterday in between protesters and those agents outside that DHS detention facility. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Still to come, new